He's one of the greater motivators that I've ever observed.
He could motivate anybody to do anything.
Motivation.
Number three. More to go. Evidently 2 pressures, 2 weeks.
To be a great coach, you have to be a great motivator. But it's not something you can learn by just Googling it. Motivation has a specific purpose.
Your job is to get that mediocre player to play average, the average player to play good, and the good player to play great.
Every man must be committed to excellence. Every man must be committed to victory.
Well, first of all, they have to know what they're doing.
The motivator to me is a guy that when he says something, he's going to do it. And honesty didn't always feel good.
What are you thinking?
Wins and losses are easy to quantify, but motivation is more subjective. This list isn't about winning championships.
The Cowboys are back on top of the mountain now.
It's about motivating players. So if you have disagreements with our top 10, well, join the club.
How do you even do this without Ditka not being on the list?
Period. Cut and dry.
Who made the list?
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
Seriously, was this all East Coast people? I gotta know.
What do you care?
Shut the lights off. Where are you people from?
The number 10 motivational coach of all time, Bum Phillips.
When Bum Phillips was elevated to be the head coach of the Houston Oilers, everybody thought they were nuts. Here's a guy who walks around with chewing tobacco and spitting.
Laid back, didn't give a rat's tail.
Big hat, boots on the sideline.
He ranched and he had horses, but how he made his living was coaching football.
Bum Phillips taught his men how to dance every dance and hold on to the rope.
Bum Phillips was a Cowboy at heart, but an Oiler by trade. He took over in Houston in 1975 and quickly changed their losing culture.
Let's run the Bummerooski. Run the Bummerooski.
When Bum took over, everything seemed to be a lot more relaxed, and it blossomed into, guys playing real hard for the guy.
He ate and drank and laughed and cried with his players.
I know.
At training camp, he would take over a bar. Couldn't do that today.
He'd bring in a country and western band. We're wondering, what the hell is this?
He said, that's how you develop camaraderie.
We were short on manpower, but we were long on guts, and I'm damn sure right.
Our number 10 motivational coach preferred a pat on the back to a kick in the bum.
He was a great but different motivator.
I wouldn't say he was Lombardi-esque. Lombardi had a different attitude. He had a fiery attitude. Bum had a real laid-back attitude.
Halftime pep talk, will last just about long enough for that guy to get the hell knocked out of him, and then he forgets that pep talk.
We hadn't let go of that rope, and we're not going to start right now. Let's go get this.
Love You Blue was their slogan, and the Astrodome became one big indoor party.
Looking. He is in trouble. He's snapped. This place has erupted.
But the Oilers never made the big dance, thanks to one dominant team.
Pittsburgh Steelers. We played our best against them, but it just wasn't good enough.
Who cared what Bum Phillips said? He was a dope and a cowboy hat. In Pittsburgh, we didn't take guys like him seriously because they never beat the Steelers.
Bud Adams, Love You blew it. The day that he was fired, we still refer to as the New Year's Eve Massacre.
Our number 10 motivational coach never corralled a championship in his 11 years on the sidelines with the Oilers and Saints. But Bum had a big hat and a big heart.
I love you, man. Do everything as good as you can, and then a little bit more.
A very unique coach, quite a character.
Right now, it's time to ride off into the sunset like any good cowboy movie.
Coming up, another coach who never won the big one, but earned a spot in our top 10.
Just the guy who had the occasional pithy sayings, but he couldn't win a big game if it was melted down and poured into it.
Before we resume our countdown, let's see who didn't motivate us enough to make the top 10. Herman Edwards' motivations were plain and simple.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Jerry Glanville's specialty was motivation during away games.
I want that to walk home. Don't let him get on the airplane.
Sam Rutigliano's teams always had intestinal fortitude.
We're backed up a little bit. We just need to flush it all out. We just need to flush it all out.
And Brian Billick was the man of 1,000 faces and an equal amount of metaphors.
When you go in the lion's den, you don't tippy-toe in. You carry a spear, you go in screaming like a banshee, and you kick whatever door is in and say, where's the son of a...
The number 9 motivational coach of all time, the wacky one, Sam Weiss.
I think a lot of people thought he was goofy.
Sam had a great wit about him.
He was a breath of fresh air.
Just a goof. He shouldn't be on any list.
He's not as funny when he doesn't win.
Unpredictable.
We used to call him Wicky Wacky in Pittsburgh.
If he was coaching the Bengals, I mean, how good could he be?
Come on! You guys have 30 minutes.
Sam Weiss was a great motivator.
To make them pay for everything that happened in that first half.
Anything he had to do, if he had to tell a joke, do magic tricks.
You got anybody fresh, even if they're bad.
A prankster, jokester. He did so many things that were just unpredictable.
Oh, it was a Gatorade water fight down there. Take care of any equipment needs you've got, or any nature needs you've got.
Okay!
Sam Weiss was wacky, but there was a method to this motivator's madness. He learned at the foot of Bill Walsh and practiced the art of motivation by preparation.
He taught me how to prepare, and he gave me a sense of purpose. Right before the game would start, he would come up to me on the field and say, okay, if this personnel's in a group and I can't get a play into you, what play are you going to?
First nickel, 3rd and 5.
We got the JV flat.
Our number 9 motivational coach also knew how to game plan the media. His playbook for the press had lots of misdirection plays.
He was really kind of a lightning rod type personality.
He was a guy that could deflect anything.
Really, I mean, you can only be so stupid, but they have exceeded the limits here somehow.
We lost the game. It was never about the game. It was always about something else.
You take this thing off, and you wear your pants, pretty decent way to make a living for you people.
He was a magician.
Of course, his most famous motivational speech probably wasn't to the players.
The snowball incident.
Somebody throws ice on the field.
And the referees were ready to call the players off the field.
And then he sprinted
all the way across the field, grabs a microphone.
The PA system.
And said,
will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, and get them out of here.
You don't live in Cleveland.
You don't live in Cleveland.
You don't live in Cleveland.
I mean, that was like a patent speech to 52,000 Cincinnati Bengal fans.
Who was he to judge Cleveland Browns fans?
This didn't endear him to the good people of Cleveland, but it did get the snowball stopped.
In his 8 years with the Bengals, Sam Weiss won 2 division championships and a spot in Super Bowl 23.
The Bengals have won the AFC Championship but will be in the Super Bowl.
But the 4-point loss to the Niners was soon followed by 4 sub-500 seasons in Tampa.
That's the enemy over there. They're not your friends. Let me do something right here. Bam! Right there.
His motivational skills were real.
You get out there, stretch those joints a little bit, and kick their butts all over the field.
I think he had a tendency to go to that particular whip a little too much.
Wake up! You're looking at me like I'm not even talking. You're not hearing me.
Did it work? He had some success.
I'm going to Kings Island! Yeah, okay.
The number 8 motivational coach of all time, the dapper Hank Strand.
He amassed 136 victories.
Yeah! The mentor!
3 championship rings.
Coach of the now champion Dallas Texans.
And 400 sport coats.
Nobody wearing white shoes.
Hank was a showman.
How can 6 of you miss a play like that?
Dapper attitude, the toupee and, the kerchief in here and everything.
Glosser Richardson went over after a touchdown, grabbed Hank and patted him on the head. He got this glop of hair. He snatched it back and put it back on.
Let's go, babes.
We got to play it because we care.
Hank Stram certainly deserves to be in the top 10.
Because you care for this football team.
Hank Stram was one of the absolute leaders.
And because you care about winning.
Hank Stram was an artist in the sense that his team became a reflection of the man himself.
My God, what are you doing in that huddle?
They huddled in a different way than any other team.
You give the play, and then you say, let's go.
The choir huddle, the big lineman in the back row, and then the backs kneeled over in the front.
Eliminate, let's go. Okay? It's 2 words. What takes time, see? All right?
He didn't do it with the same kind of fierce, domineering persona as Vince Lombardi.
Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody's tackling.
Stram was more of a bantam.
Can you believe that?
More of a pepper pot.
My God, can you believe that?
Always talking about training.
Throw it good. Like you're throwing to your wife.
Always talking about discipline.
My God, he better tuck that ball away.
He knew when to push the right buttons.
Keep throwing that pressure on, putting the coal in the fire.
Now, you talk about motivated. They were motivated.
Hank Stram at Super Bowl IV.
There's a lot there that explains his motivational ability.
Let's take a look.
Dawson was surprised a couple of times when he'd come to the sidelines.
Leonard!
No, I didn't know he was wired for that game.
Let's negotiate the ball down the field, Leonard.
Well, I didn't know until the next spring when NFL Films came out with that highlight film.
Just keep matriculating the ball down the field, boys.
Stram would usually say, well, why don't you think about this?
This guy is so loose over here, Lenny, you can throw there anytime you want.
And instead, Stram was saying, call this.
Reverse.
Hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. You got there are little Chinese bandits running around. What are we talking about?
Gasulki was running around there like it was a Chinese fire drill.
When he says it's a Chinese fire drill, I mean, I could watch that every week of the year.
Still need a final word on why Stram's number 8 on our list? How about 5?
65 toss power trap.
65 toss power trap.
65 toss power trap.
65 toss power trap was not in our game plan.
Tell him 65 toss power trap. Get in there. Running play coming to Garrett on a trap. 65 toss power trap. Touchdown. Yeah.
As a motivator, you have to be able to sell what you're trying to accomplish. He was a great salesman.
Coming up, some coaches have rings but could use a little more respect.
He's not a guy I would put at the top of the list as motivators. He won because he had great players.
There's many different ways to motivate a team. One method is sending a message through the media.
I've seen that done for the whole time I was in the NFL.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
But you can't do it a lot, and you can't do it every week.
Jimmy Johnson once said, I don't speak to the media, I speak through the media.
This team is going to the playoffs.
Playoffs? We can't talk about playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
But when it comes to baiting the hook and reeling in reporters, no one was better than the tuna.
He loved sitting up there in front of the media and controlling the media.
He knew what to do, but then he decided not to do it.
These guys were puppets, and he loved just pulling their strings.
Well, he missed again today, so she's making progress, yeah, I think.
It was all an act. Bill loved it.
The number 7 motivational coach of all time. Well-traveled and well-respected Bill Parcells.
Hey, fellas, this is what you work all off season for. This is why you lift all them weights. This is why you do all that.
I think that Parcells is probably as tough-minded a coach as there has been in the last 25 years, and almost every player that's ever played for him knows it.
What the are you doing? Stand 10 yards in the backfield. Get up on the line.
He could motivate anybody to do anything.
Got one more? One more. Nobody thinks we can win, you know.
And he understands how to get under their skin and to push the right buttons.
Hey, Phil, I'll run the game.
I'd be 10 yards from him. He'd go, shut the up. You can play, I'll coach. You got it? I understood that.
You got to give Parcells very, very high marks. Lawrence Taylor could not have been an easy character to deal with.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs and have some fun.
And yet he made Lawrence Taylor the greatest linebacker of all time, the way he moved him around and the different things he did with him.
Be more aggressive on that special now. They'll come back with that.
Took over the Giants,
They were a down-and-out team, won 2 Super Bowls.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it.
Went to the Patriots at a time when they were about as low as a team can get.
We can't play. We're too stupid.
And took them to a Super Bowl.
Play action fake, Bledsoe, rolling right, looking, fires, touchdown and untouched.
Went to the Jets when they were a 1-15 team.
You want to go to the Arena League. Play over there. They don't tackle.
Took them to an AFC Championship game.
Testaverde takes the snap, the pitch to Martin running left. He's to the touchdown line. Touchdown, New York Jets. Curtis Martin.
That's how I will always remember him, his ability to go into bad situations and make them well.
Tell him to throw up on his own time.
He scared us a little bit. You know, he wasn't ever considered Mr. Warm and Fuzzy.
You want a guy that's going to come out and just tell me what you want. He goes in and tells the players, this is what I want. Do this, and we're fine.
Why is Bill Parcells just number 7?
Let's go, Dallas. Let's go.
Because the Big Tuna never won big in Big D.
You know the play, son? What's the play? You don't even know the play.
I think Bill Parcells at one time was a motivator.
Don't get me on the warpath, boys. It ain't pretty.
I think his act's gotten old. I think that ended in Dallas.
In 4 years, Parcells never won a playoff game with the Cowboys.
Romo can't get the spot down.
First 3 stops are what's going to get him in the Hall of Fame. Dallas necessarily wasn't his shining moment.
Although he yelled and he intimidated,
You almost cost us a chance, son.
he won because he had great players. He's not a guy I would put at the top of the list as motivators.
But when you weigh in those 2 Super Bowl wins, they're enough to land the Big Tuna at number 7.
The number 6 motivational coach of all time, the Chin, Bill Cowher.
The Chin, Bill Cowher.
Let's go.
That Chin should be on Mount Rushmore.
Let's play.
If he didn't have the chin out, he wasn't doing his best coaching.
You gotta believe and you gotta trust. We're gonna find a way to win this thing.
He plays the game through us. And when that chin comes out, he's really in tune with the game.
I don't want to say it again. Let the guy run. The pads will be on soon enough.
The biggest thing is you have to be yourself. They will respect you for being you.
I'm with you guys, win or lose. I'm gonna tell you right now that I'm young. I make mistakes too.
I think it was when Bill and the team were behind closed doors that he really got his message across.
When I say who day, you say we day.
And really proved he was worth his motivational salt.
Who day? We day. Who day? We day. Who day? We day. Who day think gonna be too big?
I think most of his players over the years did relate to him because he was not only a player, but a tough guy player.
He's got his charts and he's got his headset, but in his heart, his ankles are taped and he's got the pads on.
There's the snap. It's low. The placement. The kick is blocked.
Chris Hudson for Jacksonville picks it up and starts running the other way. I'm going, he's going to deck him.
There he goes. They're going to score.
And at the last minute, Bill puts his arm down and steps aside. The kid runs back for a touchdown.
He almost came on the field for the tackle. Almost a Woody Hayes shot there.
You always thought Bill Cowher had one of those aliens in him, and it was going to rip out of you and take your head off.
He wore it on his sleeve on the sideline with the spittle flying and the veins popped out. A lot of times that was very positive, exhorting.
Good job!
When Greg Lloyd was having a bad game, and Cowher just said, listen.
You get outside the tight end. If you want to get a two-point stance, you get where you feel like you can rush the quarterback.
No matter what you do, I want you to rush the passer.
You understand? Yeah. Rush the quarterback.
So to me, that took a lot of courage.
Could they have won more Super Bowls? Yeah. Should they have been in more Super Bowls? Definitely. I mean, they lost a fistful of AFC championship games at home.
Save the season to throw. Fire. Down! And it was laid down at the goal line by San Diego.
Always close, playoff victories, couldn't get over the hump.
No Super Bowl for the wonderful Steelers who have given us a terrific season.
In 2005, Cowher's wild card Steelers hit the road in the playoffs and rolled to the Super Bowl.
No matter what happens, regardless of what happens, we move on and we play. You got it?
And it's on to Detroit for Super Bowl 40.
This time, our number 6 motivational coach would not take it on the chin.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of dollars out there about this football team. You go out there and you hit them right in the freaking mouth.
There's a man open. Touchdown!
Really wanted to win one for him. And to finally voice went up was a great feeling. It was good to see him up there.
He cared about them and he cared about the team, and I think that was his biggest plus. I think you'll probably see that chin again someday, motivating other people.
Coming up, the coach who perfected paranoia.
The players nicknamed him Double O, and he'd be snooping around in bushes for invisible spies.
Before we resume the countdown of motivational coaches, let's recap the list so far.
Number 10, Bum Phillips and his 10-gallon hat.
Big hat, boots on the sideline, and a good football coach, by the way.
Number 9, the Cincinnati Kid, Sam White.
Bam! Right there.
Number 8.
Let's go, boys. Hey, let's go.
Hank Stram was elegant and eloquent.
That's it, boys.
Number 7, Bill Parcells never wore out a welcome.
Oh, you're going to be tired of me.
Number 6, the man of steel, Bill Cowher.
Dominate the...
And now, the number 5 motivational coach of all time, George Allen.
Number 5.
Every time you lose, you die a little bit. You die inside, a portion of you. Not all of your organs, maybe just your liver. And every time you win, you're reborn.
It was Allen and his players against the world.
I once wrote on the blackboard that a loser is dead and doesn't know it.
We're playing the Cincinnati Bengals one day. George Allen can't stand Paul Brown.
No good at all. We want that up straight in the air. What the hell?
George Allen would prefer to get on a 50-yard line with Paul Brown. Whichever coach would stand, that's the team that won. That's the way George Allen wanted it.
George Allen had his master's degree in education, and he really believed in motivating his players through instruction.
Let's do it again. Same thing again.
In 1967, George Allen earned Coach of the Year honors, and his Rams won a division title. 3 years later, he was fired, then hired to be the chief of the sorry Redskins.
Defense, come on, back in the huddle. Is that the way you break the huddle? You're going to be a great defense and you break the huddle that way? Holy crap.
George Allen. Motivation. Got them convinced they could still play and have fun. Rah, rah, rah. And the guys, they loved it.
He had these corny phrases that he used.
40 men together can't lose. Okay.
There was this corny song that they would sing after the game. He devoted every minute of his life to winning, and that inspired them.
Big rush, throws his pass to Taylor, touchdown, Washington.
He wins the NFC Championship game, and the fans carried him off the field.
Thousands and thousands of people out of the stands. They've appeared like magic. They're all over the field.
He doesn't swear, smoke, drink, or spit. His favorite beverage is milk. His favorite movie is The Sound of Music. And his middle name is Herbert.
Our number 5 motivational coach was a saint, but he was haunted by demons. Allen was wary of the press and full of distrust.
Well, I don't know about how motivating it was, but he certainly was paranoid now. He had a security guard. The players nicknamed him Double O, and he'd be snooping around in bushes for invisible spies. I never found one, by the way.
Allen's Redskins lost their only Super Bowl and were ultimately worn down by his paranoia and pressure.
It was only in the playoffs that he faltered because, in my opinion, the players were so burned out after hearing that over and over again.
I knew we weren't ready to play football today.
I think he's a Hall of Fame coach, but somehow I think one of the, quote, great motivators in NFL history would have won more than a couple of playoff games.
King George never had a losing season, but it's because of his insane obsession with winning that Allen comes in at number 5.
Let's have 3 cheers for the Redskins. Hip, hip.
The number 4 motivational coach of all time, Marty Schottenheimer.
4. Do not underestimate the power of the human will.
Marty Schottenheimer was one of the great motivational speakers in football.
This doesn't light your fireman, the pilot lights out.
He encouraged his players. He drove his players.
Don't let him hold you.
Yes, sir.
Don't let him hold you.
He was an old school guy, and he told you like it was.
We got to go one more series.
He is the prototypical Knute Rockne speech giver.
Today, we're going to win. Light the ignition. Let's get this rocket ship going up now.
Marty Schottenheimer?
See, that's crazy.
Time out. Time out. Wait a minute. Time out. Marty Schottenheimer? What has he ever won?
It has to coincide with championships or great historic playoff wins. Marty doesn't have any.
Cleveland was a mess before he got there.
And the Browns have done it again.
Kansas City, mess.
We've got a winner in Kansas City.
San Diego, disaster.
Worst to first.
Made them all playoff teams, all respected. He changed his cultures.
He's one of the greater motivators that I've ever observed.
You can't make him top 10. You cannot. That's not fair.
Marty Schottenheimer has a style that's easy to parody.
Then it's the 6 inches between your backbone and your breastplate. Man, I'm talking about your heart.
The only thing that matters is that 6 inches between your backbone and your breastbone.
Our number 4 motivational coach has authored many a memorable line.
You know, Marty always talked about the gleam.
There's a gleam, man. There's a gleam.
We had a bunch of guys in the team going, yeah, and then they'd go,
what's the gleam? There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam.
One play at a time has always been my theme.
One play at a time. Let's go one play at a time. One play at a time.
It was a very theatrical performance for the players.
Those 2 little letters, W-E-We.
After a while, that sort of thing gets to be old.
Those 2 little letters, U-S, us, they're powerful.
The pregame mantras were repetitive, and so were the playoff losses. Schottenheimer went 5-13 in the postseason and never made it to a Super Bowl.
I think his teams were always motivated to play in the biggest games.
I think he's too conservative. I think sometimes he plays not to lose.
I think most people, they look at me and they say, well, Marty Ball.
I hate to visit all those sins upon the coach because, you know, the other team wants to win too.
98.5-yard drive.
If you don't win at all, you're a failure in some people's eyes. I don't really see it like that.
And there can be no consoling Ernest Biner right now.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of luck in this game. And I just think Marty's had a lot of bad luck.
Kick on the way. It is no good!
Is he a championship coach? Well, you have to win a championship to be a championship coach.
Marty Schottenheimer is one of the great coaches in the history of this league.
Look at his record speaks for itself.
And let's just remember one thing as we leave here today.
Chargers heart.
Coming up, which coach acted like the big man on campus?
He walked around like, yeah, whatever. Fire me. I'm good. I don't care.
All right, hit that horn, babe. Let's dance.
Great motivational coaches set the tone at the very first practice.
You're not a rookie anymore. Let's go.
You've never had any problem fumbling, have you?
You cannot play if you don't listen to what I'm saying.
No one runs a tougher training camp than John Gruden.
Play football. Run the show. Come on, Cozy Coleman. What do you got today? We don't have any point. We're going to be a disciplined, physical football team. Are we clear, man?
The number 3 motivational coach of all time. Savvy and salty, John Gruden.
John Gruden carries himself like the cocky kid who doesn't care what you think of him.
I got a reputation to try and live up to also.
And when he went to Oakland, that attitude was brilliant.
Hey, huddle up, huddle up, huddle up.
Felt like Al Davis was really running the show, and John Gruden was this young guy, and he walked around like, yeah, whatever, fire me, I'm good.
Nap at nap time, work on this practice field.
When you see potential in a guy,
This is the last shot right here. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's important to let him know that you're on top of everything that he does.
You're either going to explode onto the scene, or you're just going to be like a...
Gruden came up with the whole Chucky thing, the sneer, the one-liners, the quips, the one line that would just drill right into a guy.
Got a winning edge, break in the huddle, we break it like a sack of sh**.
In 1998, Gruden transformed last-place Oakland into a contender.
I thought he was a perfect fit for the Raiders style. I mean, his constant furrowed brow and his kind of snarl on the sideline. He looked perpetually slighted by something or somebody.
Our number 3 motivational coach had every right to feel that way after his Raiders were tucked out of a playoff win in 2001.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an all right.
Plucky Chucky left the Raiders after that controversial defeat to lead a new band of Pirates.
I think Rondé Barber said it best. We needed a coach to kick us in the ass. It was time, and that's what John Gruden was going to do.
Ho, 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 ho! Santa Claus is here, huddle up!
Leadership is leading in a positive way.
Oh, love that!
You have to motivate, you have to be very much in command of the standards that you're seeing out there.
You got to say, hey, I've been here before, I know exactly what to do, and we're going to do it.
John Gruden, to me, is like a fiery little Lou Holtz.
Let's go, man, quickly, quickly, quickly! Chop, chop.
He's a lot more caustic.
We dropped 7 balls today offensively. Inexcusable.
Sometimes to the point where it'll make you wince.
It's a bonsai blitz. Let's go! Let's go!
He's so wound up. He's so uptight. Just the fact that he lets it out.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
John Gruden, much more in your face.
You're 6'5", 3. After I get done with you, you're going to be 5'9".
Has no problem dropping whatever kind of bombs he needs to drop to get his point across.
That's downright nasty, brother. 16 out of 32 of us have been fired in the last 2 years. So I'm going to be a little bit of a on the rookies. Is that all right?
Tell you what, John Gruden's locker room speeches.
Not one word was said about how somebody's going to stop this defense.
Sideline speeches.
You know what Buckeye means? You know what anything means?
His pep rallies are classic stuff.
Pound that rock! Pound that rock!
In 2002, Gruden drove the Bucs through the playoffs toward their first Super Bowl ever.
Johnson on third down, throws the ball toward the end zone. It is
Yes!
Touchdown, Tampa Bay!
It was a team that needed to be pushed, and he had that emotional kind of drive. He was the face that they needed.
Super Bowl 37, it is Tampa Bay versus the Oakland Raiders.
The best motivators lead by example. John Gruden took that a step further at practice before the Super Bowl.
Gruden actually played the role of Rich Gannon. Here he was slinging the ball over the field and just rubbing it in their faces.
Who better on the field knew how to be Rich Gannon than the guy who coached Rich Gannon? Turn on the film of what the Buccaneers did in Super Bowl 37.
In and pump fake, looking to his right, throwing to his right. Intercepted!
We ain't even started yet! Let him keep throwing! Let him keep going!
And looking again, those up the middle. It's intercepted! At the 40, Derek Brooks!
It was John Gruden's finest moment as a coach in a National Football League.
We're going to win the Super Bowl!
Super Bowl, baby! Boom, boom, boom!
John Gruden, the youngest coach ever to win a Super Bowl, and number 3 on the list of motivational coaches. Coming up,
What are you doing out there?
the number 2 motivational coach on our countdown.
I believe in pushing them much further than they think they can drive themselves.
Before we get back to the countdown, let's see who else fell short of our list. Jim Mora was motivating and entertaining.
The sound bites that Jim Mora left us are priceless and can never be replicated.
We couldn't make a first down. We sucked. You think you know, but you don't know.
Marv Levy was motivated to keep his players in the moment.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Coach Ditka didn't make the list, but he's highly regarded in Chicago.
After Lombardi, Ditka.
And Don Shula might be the winningest NFL coach, but he didn't crack our top 10.
There's no way you can have a top 10 list that has John Gruden and Sam Weiss ahead of Don Shula.
The number 2 motivational coach of all time, the emotional Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil is number 2 on our countdown, but his players were number 1 in his heart.
They know I'm going to be there and defend them and back them.
You never have to worry about me jerking you.
He has a way of connecting with people.
How many more semesters will you go?
It wasn't so much a technique or a gimmick or anything. That's just who Dick was.
How's everything at home?
Everything is wonderful.
He was not only their coach, he was their friend. Some of them looked at him as a father figure.
If you care, they'll care. If you trust, they'll trust.
Dick gave you that rah-rah speech.
We will not lose sight of what we have left to do.
That win wasn't for the Gipper. You didn't want to do nothing but go out there and play and win for your coach.
Some coaches speak loudly and carry a big stick. Coach Vermeil spoke lovingly and carried a box of tissues.
I don't want to forget any of you guys because I never will. You're really special.
If you're crying to me, you're weak stock.
Thank you for what you've done for me.
I thought maybe he'd only cry as an Eagles coach.
12 years have gone by since the Eagles have been a winner.
But he's hit all his spots, I guess.
I get really close to the people I work with.
I mean, even he cries over Lawrence Phillips.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
What a great way to have me to live.
He's Dick Vermeil. He has to cry. It's in his contract.
Shed no tears for Dick Vermeil. He's number 2 on our countdown for a reason. His motivation by inspiration has taken 3 franchises to the playoffs.
Touchdown! Kansas City! Here we go!
Vermeil took over the Eagles in 1976 and had them in the Super Bowl 5 years later with a team that was more tenacious than talented.
They weren't the greatest bunch of players, but he got them to play.
The Eagle fans felt like he was the guy who could do it for us.
But a loss to the Raiders in Super Bowl 15,
Let's go!
followed by a nasty bout of burnout, made Dick Vermeil walk away from the game.
Dick Vermeil must be feeling the sting of frustration right now.
I hope very much my players can understand. It's not an easy thing to do to say goodbye to him.
Enough was enough, and that he had had it with coaching, and he just felt that he had lost that ability to motivate.
I left coaching because I had to. Today I'm back because I have to.
After 15 years away from the game, Vermeil picked up where he left off and took the Rams to the Super Bowl.
Couldn't ask for a better script. Let's go win it right now.
The Rams win by a yard.
That's it! We won it! It's over. We're world champions.
Love you, Coach. I love you, too. To the team.
Hey, Kevin! See you later!
You're a world champion, buddy. You're a world champion.
This is your game, ball. We love you.
The number 2 motivational coach of all time turned every football team he ever coached into a family.
Coach Vermeil had a knack for getting guys ready to play.
This game ball for you, Coach Vermeil.
I would put Vermeil right at the top of any list, not just motivational coaches, but motivational people.
The emotion of Dick Vermeil helped in the way he got his players to play. And you want to call that motivation? Yeah, he could get them to play.
Next up, we reveal our number 1 motivational coach of all time.
Whoever number 1 is, God bless you. You must be somebody pretty unique.
How do you even do this without Ditka not being on the list?
Iron Mike didn't make our countdown, but here's a recap of those who did.
Number 10, bootlegger and Stetson wearer, Bum Phillips.
I love you, man.
Very unique coach, quite a character.
Number 9, wacky Sam White.
Kind of a lightning rod type personality.
You're looking at me like I'm not even talking. You're not hearing me.
Number 8, the dapper one, Hank Stram.
Stram was more of a bantam, more of a pepper pot.
The mentor.
Number 7, the big tuna, Bill Parcells.
All right, Ingy, today's your day, honey. You got a big one today.
Number 6, Bill Cowher.
We're taking this baby back home, and we're going to enjoy every minute of it.
Number 5, King George Allen.
Wait a minute. You got George Allen ranked behind Marty Schottenheimer?
Number 4, Marty Schottenheimer.
Don't let him hold you.
Excellent motivator of football players. He understood football players.
Number 3, the man of many faces, John Gruden.
Super Bowl, baby! Boom, boom, boom!
Don't cry for Dick Vermeil. He's number 2.
We're going to Super Bowl.
But who's at the top of our list?
I gotta know.
Here is the number 1 motivational coach of all time, Vince Lombardi.
Number 1.
When you mention football coach, the first image that comes to mind is
Lombardi.
He is the icon among coaches.
A certain magic still lingers in the very name.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Lombardi was an autocrat.
Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody tackling.
At a time when coaches were expected to be autocrats.
I didn't come in and have a meeting with the players and say, I wonder how they're going to accept me. I said to myself, they're going to have to accept me. I'm not worried about their morale. I'm worried about Vince Lombardi's morale here.
Come on, look at me.
He knew how to drive men.
Look at me.
They achieved more than they thought they could.
And he didn't always do it in a way, I think, that endeared players to him at the moment.
Go ahead now. You had him.
But you go back and talk to any of Lombardi's guys, they swore by Vince Lombardi.
If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and to try to run this play in the alley.
This is a famous power sweep of Green Bay.
They'd tell him to play. Jerry Kramer would look up. We're running this way. They'd gain 8 yards and go back to the huddle. And they knew it was coming. That's motivation. That's intimidation.
To Jim Taylor on a power sweep, cutting back at the 10. Taylor is in for the touchdown.
The Packers won 5 championships in 7 years. Still, Lombardi was never satisfied.
He had no tolerance for mistakes.
What the hell's going on out here?
If you didn't play the way Lombardi wanted you to play, he'd get rid of you.
I'll tell you something, Leroy. You're not going to get your job back unless we get a better performance.
If you didn't do what he wanted you to do, you were gone. Get out of here.
Oh, God. Get him out of there, will you?
Lombardi demanded the best and never had a losing season in Green Bay. Supreme confidence and winning under pressure. That's why the Packers won the Ice Bowl and why Lombardi is our number 1 motivational coach.
It's 3rd down. There's 16 seconds left in the game. It's the Packers' last timeout. Tells Bart Starr to run the damn ball. Let's get out of here. And in so doing, takes a magnificent gamble.
Starr begins the count. Takes the snap. He's got the quarterback.
If that gamble failed, if the Green Bay Packers are stopped on the 1-yard line and time runs out, maybe the Super Bowl trophy is not even named after him.
And the Green Bay Packers are going to be NFL champions for the 3rd straight year.
Super Bowl II was the crowning achievement for the master. In his final game as Green Bay's head coach, Lombardi won easily and savored one last ride for the ages.
At 6:06 Eastern Standard Time, Vince Lombardi was carried off the field for the last time. He was carried not just to the locker room, but a few steps closer to the Hall of Fame.
There's a gleam, man. There's a gleam.
There have been many great motivators, but our number 1 motivational coach of all time is still the yardstick by which all others are measured.
Every guy that's coached in the National Football League will always, to some degree, be influenced by what Lombardi was and what he stood for.
Vincent T. Lombardi was the consummate coach, and it is his name that is etched on the game's ultimate prize.
It more than represents the guy that won the first 2 Super Bowls. His place in football history is far bigger than that. What an honor it is to be holding the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Every man must be committed to excellence. Every man must be committed to victory.